Monster level 15 upgrade. Hey guys, Tristan here, and today what we're going to be doing is we're going to be working on Monster's new LED kit. Now, at the start of this video, I'm letting you guys all know I do not have every piece yet. I am still waiting on the resistors, but now is a good time to start working on everything else. As soon as the resistors come in, I can just add to this video, because I'll make a note later, like, yo, this is however day. Right now it's the 10th, January 10th, it's 9:50 p.m. But other than that, I'm going to be working on the core part of the system. The LEDs are going to be able to sit back and wait. So without further ado, guys, let's sit down. Let's start working on this, because I am excited to get this working. Alright, to start things off, we have the Turnigy controlled on-off switch. What we're going to do is we're going to look at its instructions real quick, and obviously it has a couple of diagrams on how you can set this up. I already know how I'm going to be setting this up. I have a picture on it on one of my files. If I have a picture of it, I'm going to show up right here, and basically the core part of it. And then we have this little diagram down here. This is the fail-safe node, so if something happens that's wrong, then it'll automatically go to one of these. So what I'm going to do, there's two jumpers on the back of here, so I'm going to line these up the way I am, and I'm going to have it to go and just switch off when it goes into fail-safe mode. So I'm going to have to remove the jumper that is right here, the bottom one. I'm going to be putting it back in the little package and putting that away so I do not use it. Now we are set and ready to set this up. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be trimming these wires, and we're going to be shortening them, and then I will be connecting it to this little guy right here. Ignore that. Basically, they're going to be going to this connector right here. I'm going to set them up so that they go in like this, just like that, and then what's going to happen is this wire right here, this is going to go to my receiver. It's going to go to channel 4, and it's going to ground the solar system. That's the biggest part, is the way I'm doing it with a split battery is I have to ground it. So this is what that's for. Basically, these other two wires, white is not going to be a big cable in this, so I'm going to be using that as the in and out. So this white cord is going to become the second half of this. I know exactly how I'm going to do it, so you're just going to have to follow along. But I'm going to trim these down a bit. I'm going to get them to work with this. And I'll be back with when this is done. Alright guys, so now we're going to be starting to solder everything together. Now, if you guys are not understanding how I'm going to be wiring up, I made a bunch of wiring diagrams to show you exactly how I do it. If you don't understand them, I'll explain them, and if you understand them completely, you can just ignore this part and just look at it like, okay, that's what you did. So, obviously, first off, we have the connector. This is going to connect to the main harness, which is going to go from the front to the rear, and all bits in between. It's the main coupler that I call it a coupler, but it's a harness, wiring harness. So it's going to go from the very front to the very rear, and it's going to be just the main power transit. The battery's going to connect to it, all the connections are going to connect to it. It's the main piece. But this is going to connect through here. It's going to come in from the outside and connect into here into the receiver box, so that this entire setup is going to be within the receiver box so it doesn't get damaged, water, because this Turnigy switch is not waterproof. And for the Turnigy switch, I just have a blue box. I didn't label it. I should have, but I forgot to. But yeah, this right here is the Turnigy switch. This is the receiver controlled on-off switch. It basically takes the 6-volt signal that we get from our receivers and converts it so it can be used as an on-off switch. It's very small, as you guys can see in the video, and it's very nice. So obviously right here, as you guys can see, I got the positive coming in from the connector. It goes in and it comes right back out, and it's connected to the white wire. Now in this setup, the white wire is being replaced with gray since I have the white background, but the white wire is being used for both as positive as well as the red one. But just remember that you have to watch how you connect up so you don't get a unintentional short. because if you wire it up wrong and it bypasses this Turnigy switch, it'll stay on the entire time. From there, it goes out, comes through here, and goes to the receiver, as it says to receiver. Another thing, if you're doing a split battery setup like I am, you want to have the negative wire going to the receiver. This is going to act as a ground wire. Now, in this kind of setup, you need to have the grounds connected for both batteries. So why this is, I'm not sure, but it has to be done or else it will not work. I really don't know why this needs to be done, but needs to be done. A lot of people do mess this up, and they can't get it to work because they do not have this black wire going to the receiver. Now, there's two ways you can hook it up. Normally, most people just connect it straight to the negative battery terminal on their batteries or on their connectors to the batteries, but you get the same from just connecting it straight to the negative terminal on the receiver. Now you can just take another connector, take the other two wires out, and just keep the black on there, and it'll work just fine. But those are the two ways you can do it. Obviously, I'm doing it the way where it's going through the receiver, not to the main battery, so I don't have a hungle mess of wires going throughout the RC. Now, from at this little slashed line right here, means it's a shortcut. Now, in most wiring diagrams, especially on big ones signifying for big machinery, the length between like two connections may be like for a long trip. So to shorten it, that's what you have this for. It's just saying, yo, there's more distance between these two than it's showing. So keep that in mind. Now, most of this is not going to be too far away because this is both all staying in within the receiver box. Now, with that said, let's go check it out. Alright guys, I do have the little device ready. As you guys can see, I have soldered these joints together and I have used shrink wrap. Not the best, but this is going to work. Actually, it is kind of sturdy. So next up what we're going to do is we're going to open up the receiver box, and it's held on with 4 screws. 2 over here for this piece, and then 2 right up here for this piece. Alright guys, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some, what is it called, Velcro. I'm going to stick on the back, and I am going to set this right in here inside the top, just like this, nice and comfy. And then I'm going to be plugging in this wire right here into channel 3. Let me just find, alright, so I believe this will go in just like this. There we go. And then this little wire right here will go into channel 5 or 4, whichever one you want. So now what I'm going to do is I am going to go through and clean up the wires a little bit, just so that it doesn't look like a mess inside here. And then what we can do is actually connect the start working on the rest of the setup. Alright guys, so as you guys can see, I have the little guy right here. I ended up velcroing it to the top of the receiver. I switched the receiver around and I just plugged everything in. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close this up. Before I do, I'm going to take this wire, feed it through the bottom, and then plug it in to this guy. Come on up. There we go. Take this guy, plug it in just like that. Push it down. Alright, with that like that, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to close it up by taking our 2 pieces, sliding this piece over just like this, throwing in the 2 screws, and then the same for this piece. Alright guys, so I ended up taking this piece back out of the RC, just opened up the receiver box and took it back out. I just wanted to do a couple measurements, so now I have all the parts. Now what I have here is I have this line. This will be going to the rear of the RC for the brake lines. This line will be going up for the body mounted LED kit bar. So that's going to go up like that. And I have the line to go to the front. It'll be going up just like that. This will be going to the battery, so it'll be following along just like that. And then finally we have this, which is going to be going to the receiver box, just like that. So now I get the fun into trying to figure out how to put this all together. Once I'm done with that, I will be using this stuff to cover it all up and make it look nice. Alright guys, so here we are with the main LED harness. Now as you guys can see, it's all connectors for the body, the front, rear, the segment connector, and the receiver box. The last segment that we did with the Turnigy switch goes to this one right down here with the receiver box. So that big connector is going to connect to here, and then it's going to go within the receiver box. It's going to be a short distance, so this one won't be as long. Now, as you guys can see, this is a humble jump of mess within here. So let's get in a view a little bit closer. Alright, so starting from the second battery, we have, this is going to be the connector to the second battery, whether it be, I'm using a 7.4 volt battery, LiPo. So obviously it's going to come in the connector, and the negative is going to come in here, and it's all the negatives are connected to one. So everything from the body, rear, front, receiver, all of them are connected through the black wire. As you guys can see, it's like all conjoining in the main spot. So this is all the negative goes to every single one, and you're like, that's how it's set up. It's set up in parallel, so equal voltage going out to everything. Now, for the positive of the second battery, it comes in, it goes straight to the receiver box into the Turnigy switch, so that to complete the circuit, the receiver has to be on, or not the receiver, the Turnigy switch has to be on. When it comes out in the gray wire, which later gets replaced with red wires, which I've marked with just a red segment in the line. Now, when it comes out, it connects to all three wires going to the rear, front, and body. And then, so what's going to happen is the electrons are going to flow down the negative wire to all of the connectors, but they won't be able to flow back this way back to the battery until that Turnigy is switched. So basically, there will be no flow unless that connection is on, because if you don't know, electricity cannot flow without a full circuit. That Turnigy switch will break or open or close that circuit, and when it's closed, all electrons will be able to flow. This is the main part. So with this done, we can move on to the next one. Alright guys, so I'm freehanding this right now. It's just way too much to capture with the tripod on. So what we got here is we have the whole setup shebang. We got the coupler down, or the connector down there. You can see it's already plugged in, which goes to this, which plugs in there. So what it's going to do is going to come out, goes to this little coupling right here, which this leads to both the battery, the top light connector, the front light connector, and then the rear light connector. So the rear light's going to go through the shock tower just like that. I'm going to have to find a way to hold this together. If not, I can just leave it hanging like that. And actually, it is actually pretty stable as is. This is going to be free roaming right here. I'm going to figure a way to make sure this doesn't move around all that much, which actually is pretty stable. For the fronts, I'm going to have a zip tie kind of used to custom make a way to hold it down right here. It's just going to be a simple overlapping zip tie with one screw to hold it in place. And then when it comes time to set up the actual LEDs themselves, they're going to connect up right here. I think I made this a little bit too long, but you know what? It doesn't matter. Once it's all done, this is actually going to be pretty darn good. So yeah, I just got to figure a few more things out, and then we are good. Alright guys, now that I have the resistors, what we're going to be working on next is going to be the three ends for the LEDs. We have one for the top lights, one for the rear lights, and then also one for the front lights. So now what we're going to be doing is I'm going to take one, I'm going to cut it to where I want at least this part of the wire. And then for the front one, which this is the front, I'm going to have 4 branching off. And then I will be soldering on a 22 ohms resistor along with a LED. So, with LEDs, if you don't know what LEDs are or what LED stands for, LEDs stand for light emitting diode. Basically, they resist, or they only allow electricity to flow in one direction, so it's a one-way street. And because of the way they're designed, they emit light. So they're kind of a dual function. First off, they act as a one-way street for electricity to flow, so you can't have electricity going going in the opposite direction, which is what diodes are for. And then the LEDs emit light as well as that. So they're kind of a dual function, and each color has its own voltage, maximum amperage, all that stuff. So I had to do my math, and for an LED, white LED, from 7.4 volts to down to about 3.2 to 3.4, I'm going to need 22 ohms resistance. So this basically resists the flow and the voltage. So with these, I should be able to obtain the correct voltage that these require. Same goes for the red ones, which are going to be for the rear. That will also need about, if I remember correctly, around 2.2. I don't have the chart right in front of me, so I'm just thinking. And with the diodes, you want to be careful with the prongs. I'm not 100% sure. It's been a very long time since I've actually done this, but I believe positive is the long and negative is the shorter. If not, then it's reversed. I have to look it up real quick. I do not remember as of this time. Give me one sec. Alright, so I was correct on the fact that the long prong is positive and the short prong is negative. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to set all my white ones, my 4 white ones up. And then I am going to take a resistor. I'm going to cut it down short and solder it straight to the shorter prong. The shorter prong is the negative, and you want the resistor to hit the negative first, not the opposite. So with that, I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to take out 4, do them all for the bottom bar, take out 6, do the top bar, and then I'll be doing 2 for the rear. And then I'll solder them all together, and I'll put my awesome, nice wire mesh on there just to make it look nice and pretty. And then I'm putting this stuff off to the side for future upgrades, because really the only reason I'm doing this for the LED kit at the same time is because I want it to look nice and not crummy. If I could do this later on down the road, I would, but seeing how the way I'm designing it, I kind of have to put this stuff on while I do it. So I'm gonna quickly, I'm gonna move on. I'm gonna show you guys the parts after I'm done. I would normally try and show you guys how to do the soldering and everything, but really, it's a pain in the butt. So I'm gonna go do that now, and I'll see y'all when I'm done. Alright guys, so now we have all of the LED branches to set up. We have the front, top, and the rear, and each of them have 4 for the front, 6 for the top, and 2 for the rear. Now for both the top and front, I have the white LEDs for all of them, so a total of 10 white LEDs. And then for the rear, I have 2 red. Now, for all the white LEDs, they are at 3.4 volts. That's the maximum voltage that they can handle. Now, I have a 7.4 volt battery supplying it. Now, obviously, that's too much. So that's where the resistors come in. The resistors are designed to reduce electron flow for stuff at lower voltage to be used, and a couple other things. So I did the math, and to get the 7.4 volts to work with a 3.4 volt LED, 220 ohms resistance is required. Ohms is the not required, is the unit of measurement of resistance for stuff like this. Now, whether or not you need to know what ohms is and how to Ohm's law, for the most part, if you're doing a lot of wiring, yes, but as long as you understand it and know what to do, you're pretty much golden. I use a lot of calculators or a calculator to help me with this because it's actually very, very complicated because you need to know like amperage and volt resistance, amperes. No, that's yeah. You need to know a lot of values, and it over time it gets a little more complicated. It's simple math, but um, trying to implement into real world stuff like this, it gets confusing after a while. But so how I have this set up is in parallel. It's a parallel setup. So what that means is either it has its own negative and positive going to it, and it's they have the advantage of parallel is every single one gets the same amount of voltage. The amperage obviously coming from the line has to be times 4 of it or 6 or how many LEDs you have, but they all get the same voltage. So that makes it a lot easier to set up the LEDs because you're working the same thing over and over again. So obviously I have a negative and a positive going to each LED. In the diagram I show that they are branching off from each other like this, like stacking, but the way I wire them up is they have each have their own. This just made it a lot simpler to draw up if I had them stacked like this, but I have separate wires going to each one. From there, it's really just that's pretty much it for these. They're very basic. They all are connected to a connector, the opposite of what they have on the ends. So it's very basic, very simple. So let's get them set up.
Alright guys, so this is the front segment. It's going to be sitting in just like this at a slight angle, which is why this piece is longer. And to show you guys what is actually underneath all this, in this Muggle Gukka shrink wrap and stuff, is this all. So this is the segment for the top kit up there. So basically what we got going on is we got a connector with the two wires that one goes to for the positive, we go to all of them. So you got this massive joint, and then we got all these itty bitty, come on camera, focus, there we go. All these resistors, they all solder to this, and then they all get connected through here, and they all go out to the LEDs. So when I plug this in, it should work. But right now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put all the shrink wrap again on all of this, make it look nice before putting on the car. Alright guys, so now I have each segment done, and let's take them out. So first off we have the rear. These two are red LEDs. So yeah, so we got the coming from the main line into this little part where the resistors are, and it comes out and goes into these. Very basic, very simple, it's small. We got the front one right here, which is about twice the size of that one, with 4 resistors instead too, and 4 LEDs. So this is going to be mounted in the front, and it's kind of it's kind of at an angle, if you guys can see, with this one always being so long than everything else. So it's going to be seen at a slight angle. That's just the way it set itself up as while I was working on it. It should work still. Then we have the big one. This has a total of 6 different resistors inside here and 6 LEDs up here. This is for the middle body mounted piece. And like I have connector which will connect. So now we're going to start setting them up. First stuff I'm going to start with is the front. Alright, so setting up the front, all you really have to do is for the front canisters, there's a little screw in the back of each one. Just unscrew it a little bit. You can push it out just like I did here, and then you can take your little lights and slide one in each canister, just like so. And you can push them in, and then then you can go back and screw them all the way in. Once that's done, I'm just going to connect the little connector, just like that. Alright, now let's move on to the other part. Alright, next up I'm going to be putting in the rear two taillights, and I'm going to need to remove the spare tire rack first. And that's held on with 4 screws. There, one right here, and one over here, and it's the same on the other side. Alright, with the spare tire rack out of the way, we can now get to the rear canisters. All we gotta do is unscrew the one little screw right here, and then we can back these out just enough to slide these in the groove right there. Alright, with the taillights attached now, we can put the spare tire rack back on, just like that. Slide the front in. Gonna have to move the wire a little bit, just like that. Now I can screw in the 4 screws that held it on there. 2 right here, and 2 on the other side, just like before. Alright guys, next what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to set up the body. So it's as easily as drilling holes for each of the wire, if you're going to be doing it this way. You can also just have all wires come up at one point and then just spread out to each one. It's entirely up to you how you want to do it. So now what we're going to do is we're going to take our last little bit, lay it down just like that, and just start pushing them through the holes. Alright, and just like the front, what we're going to do is we're going to take one, pull it up, and push it into one of the canisters, just like so. You can unplug or unscrew them all the way if you want. I'm just going to keep them the same, and you're just going to keep plugging them all in until you have no more to plug in. Alright, once you get all 6 of them in there, you can just screw these the screws back in. And then we can move on to my favorite part. Alright guys, next up what we're going to be doing is mounting the battery. So I have the XXL2 battery mount, as well as the LiPo battery that goes with it, the reaction lithium polymer battery. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be measuring the distance between these 2 holes right here. And then I'm going to be centering those on the distance on this, the bottom of this, so then I can drill the 2 holes so it's going to be sitting nice and flat, just like that. And I can mount the battery and everything. So I'm going to do that right now. I'm going to be doing the measurements, and I'm going to be doing the drilling for it too. So when I'm done with that, I'll be back right here to show you how I'm going to be installing it. Alright, now that I have the 2 holes drilled for the mounting, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the RC, flip it around real quick so you guys can get a better look. Now I'm going to be mounting it just like that. Put the 2 screws in, and yeah, then we can put battery in. Alright guys, now what we get to do is we get to mount the battery, and it's very simple. All we do is take the new battery, just lay it inside the little cradle, and then take the top piece, and then we can screw in the 4 screws that hold it on. There are 2 over here and 2 over here. And here it is, guys, completely done. As you guys can see, it's quite the extensive LED kit. So, I gotta say, this actually has taken me several days to work on, several days waiting for parts to come in. That looks a little pink on the camera, but that's probably coming up as red. I've worked a few days on this, and it took me a long time to figure out. So, as you guys can see, the battery I mounted, yeah, that's not going anywhere. So now, what is it going to be an LED kit without including the top part? And here it is, guys, with the body on and the LEDs on. So, as you guys can see, these guys are bright. I mean, Jesus Christ, they're bright. And it's going to make a fun time for night runs. The only thing I gotta say is, I'm going to be doing one more last thing before I am completely done working on the LED kits, which is replacing those up canisters, because you probably can't tell in the camera, but these are actually not as bright as these, mainly because the black is absorbing the thing instead of reflecting it away like the chrome does. You know, honestly, I'm not too worried about it looks, but they are a significant difference in the lighting between the two. So that's what I'm going to do. I don't know if you can actually see it on camera, the light difference, but there is definitely one there, yo. You can actually see that there. So that's my plan. Just replace the top ones. I'm not going to replace the whole mount, just the canisters themselves. So maybe I can figure something out. But that's pretty much it, guys. And before I end this video, I just want to say those who want to do this kind of thing, be sure to take time. If you try and rush things, if you don't think about it first and don't plan about it first, you will have problems. As well, if you guys have no clue on what you're doing, don't do it. Soldering can be very dangerous. Throughout the thing, I did have a short circuit when I was testing, which pretty much caused a fire. So, yeah, you want to be very extremely careful. You want to be extremely careful with solder. You want to be extremely careful when you're plugging things in together. So just be mindful, and if you have no experience soldering and you want to do something like this, research and practice before attempting. Do not just jump in. Like I said, it's extremely dangerous. You can burn yourself. You can damage things. Trust me, it happens. It happens to the best of us. And I burnt myself several times while doing this. So, thank you guys for tuning in. And I'll see you all next time. Alright guys, before I end this video, I just want to point one thing out that I did not mention in the last part. So basically, when, if you all remember, when I was plugging in everything and making everything, I had that Turnigy receiver controlled switch. I made an explanation what it does, but now I'm going to show you what it does. So, as you guys can see, all my lights are on and working. So, I got the top, front, and the rear back there. So now I have Monster's transmitter right here, as you guys can see. I got the little third channel. Yeah, that's what it does. So now I can, instead of having to mount a switch to the body or the chassis, I can just remotely flick it on and off. Best thing is, if I turn the transmitter off, it'll stay in whatever it was last in. So, say if I decide to turn off my transmitter dies, my car is out there, and yeah, so now the lights won't just shut off and won't be able to find my RC. So, which is nice. But yeah, so now I have the awesome LED system in there. And if you look inside, you can see all the green wire mesh that I have going through everything. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like I said, if you guys want to attempt this, make sure you understand electronics and you know how to solder and everything. I'd hate to hear that one of you guys hurt yourselves trying to attempt doing this. If you don't know how, I recommend either learning how and taking your time or finding someone who does know. Like I said, I'd hate to hear that one of you guys hurt yourselves trying to do what I did. So, thanks for watching, guys. Check you all next time. And that was Monsters, level 15 upgrade.